Hello, this is Tom Brevoort. You are listening to Into the Night, the Moon Knight podcast.
Yes, welcome back, Looney listeners. You are listening to Into the Night, the Moon Knight podcast. This is episode 156, and you are with your High Priest of Khonshu, Ray. As always, here to steer you through the night and not protect you. We'll leave that to Moon Knight. But welcome, everyone. It's another bumper show here, something a little different and something I'm quite excited about, actually. So with episode 156... if you look up into the night sky, it is a first quarter moon, and as decreed by Khonshu, we have a segment called KHONSHU'S Relics. Now, this is a relatively new segment. What I've done is consolidated some aspects of what we did before and lump it basically into one big thing. So previously, when we looked at video games, toys, sprouting out now to like wearables and potentially cosplay, that's all under the moniker of KHONSHU'S Relics. But this show is not about that at all. This show is a little bit special because what I thought with KHONSHU'S Relics, a bit of creative license, why not grab a loony, an avid Moon Knight fan, and chat about their collection. And I thought that would be a very interesting thing for a lot of loonies to listen in on. And who knows, maybe even compare sizes. But I doubt that many would reach the scale of our esteemed guest tonight. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome on board tonight Moonnight.life, Sandy. Sandy, welcome aboard.
Thank you so much, Ray. I can't wait for today's show. It's 8 o'clock in the morning here, so just bear with me. I'm still kind of waking up, but I'm happy to be here. And 156 episodes. That's quite wow. That's fantastic. And like you said, you're excited to bring on something new. So Khonshu blesses all the listeners. Wow, what a great podcast.
Thank you so much. And 156, that's crazy, isn't it? Some people scratch their heads. How can you do that on one, I guess not even a top tier character, but hey, there's plenty to talk about, and especially talking with guests such as yourself, Sandy, who are avid fans, avid collectors. So before we get into a bit of a discussion about your collection, Sandy, and how you kind of got into Moon Knight and such, why don't you tell us a little bit about your online presence as Moon Knight Life?
Yeah, sure. So it all started, I was on Instagram. I've always been a collector since I was a kid, and it hit a different level when I turned about 20 years old. I'm 35 now. But I was just scrolling across Instagram and the Spider-Man profiles, and I wanted some Moon Knight on my feed, and I noticed that the only Moon Knight accounts that were available were like role play. I don't know, I'm not really into that stuff, so I was like, I'm going to do it myself. And at that point, it was almost 2016, just before the Jeff Lemire series and Greg Smallwood series came out.
Okay,
I was super excited, and I needed something. I needed a event or somewhere to see more Moon Knight and get hyped up for the series, and there was nothing available. So I'm like, I'm going to do it. Jeff Lemire is a local talent. I'm from Toronto. I am Canadian, so.
Have you got the Wolverine haircut?
Yeah, we'll talk about my Canadian. Where I am when we talk about Night Shop. I branched out to selling books, and if I'm selling to anywhere in the world, it's good to know that I am Canadian, and shipping. We do have to make an exception for shipping. Anyways, so I started Moon Knight Life because I want all my followers to live the nightlife. It was a great way to get excited for the upcoming series.
Yeah, well, I mean, let's take it back a little bit. So you were looking for some feeds for Moon Knight online and stuff, and so what were your other main favorite characters that you like? And then why then choosing Moon Knight?
So I guess can I start by my collecting journey, my hobby, comics collecting. I think at the beginning I started with Ghost Rider. I'm a 90s kid.
Nice.
Ghost Rider was where Ghost Rider, the Punisher, those two characters were everywhere. So, I started way off at the beginning, Marvel Spotlight. I started collecting all those. I started going through Johnny Blaze's volume and into Danny Ketch. I'm a completist back in those days. I don't know if listeners are avid collectors, but back in the day we used to actually complete full runs.
Yeah, and
that's why I have such an overstock. Like I used to go to conventions and get short boxes for $50.
Wow!
Like some vendors would be like towards the end of the show. I learned that don't buy everything just yet, especially the filler issues.
Yeah.
Wait for the last day, the last couple hours, and be like, hey, can I buy a short box of comics? How much would you do? And you just haggle a little bit, and you get like we used to get great deals.
Yeah.
It was pretty phenomenal.
Short boxes are, I believe, unbagged and boarded. It's about 150 comics, right, in a short box, and about 100 if you bag them and board them.
Yeah,
roughly. Yeah. So for $50, that's pretty good.
Yeah, it was fantastic, and you're only getting filler issues. It's nothing like. Don't get me wrong, I wasn't filling up boxes of Silver Age Fantastic Four. I was filling up boxes of Ghost Rider. So in my collection right now, I have 2 boxes of Wolverine. Like I'm Canadian. I can't hide that. Wolverine are up at the top of my list.
Yeah.
They stand side by side to me. When I play video games like Ultimate Alliance, those were Moon Knight and Wolverine were always on my team. Right. I don't know if you guys played it, but Marvel Ultimate Alliance was probably my most played game. I put so many hours into that game. It was so much fun.
Absolutely. I speaking to a few Loonies, and we were just talking off air of esteemed Loonie Tommy. He mentioned that he got introduced to Moon Knight through Ultimate Alliance. So, and a few others enjoy having played him in the game. So it seems that was a really popular gateway to get into Moon Knight. Were you collecting Mark Spector Moon Knight back in the 90s as well, or did that slip by, or were you intrigued by Moon Knight by that stage?
So I got introduced to Moon Knight in 2006 with the Finch and Houston run. That I already had so many Moon Knight issues in my collection from the 1980 Sienkiewicz run. At that point, he didn't appeal to me as much as he did when I started reading the Houston run. I was collecting that off the rack.
Yep. So
that really opened my eyes to Moon Knight. Like, what an amazing... Like, I was looking for something gritty, something... Yeah. I don't know, at the time in my life, like, that was perfect. That was absolutely perfect. That was everything I wanted. It was a great escape into comics. And it made me... Yeah, it really made me go out and complete Moon Knight, every single issue, everything.
Yeah, that run really resonated with a lot of Loonies, myself as well. I found that run. I mean, we're talking about the whole run. I'm talking also beyond that with the Benson run as well. I really enjoyed how it continued on. So beyond the 12 issues of Charlie Houston, I think, and then Benson took over with Texera and all that a bit later. That was really cool. But yeah, so after the 2006, did you consistently buy Moon Knight off the rack after that as well? Like, and then at the same time start reading up on your mentioned Sienkiewicz, or how did it kind of progress from there?
I read mentioned Sienkiewicz probably before I finished the Finch run.
Oh, okay, wow, right.
I had to dive. I don't know. I'm a passionate comic reader.
Yeah.
The one thing about comic guys is that we're so passionate and we're so in love with things that we hate. You get what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
we love to talk about things that we don't like, and I don't know. So yeah, the mensch stuff right away was on my priority.
Okay, because it's quite different to the Houston run. Like, a lot of people have, I mean, as I mentioned, the Houston run does really resonate a lot, and it leaves a lasting impression. Because a lot of people kind of get introduced to Moon Knight that way. Dare I say, there are some loonies that haven't read the mensch run because they are a little bit older. You know, they're in the 1980s, and it's a very different take on Moon Knight. But I believe that, like, holistically looking at all those, 38 issues, it really does create, like, mensch really does stamp out. I don't know, I guess it's hard to say, not so much the tone, because the Houston tone is very different still. It's like even darker, you know, but I don't know, it kind of forges a street levelness and a weirdness, I think, to Moon Knight. I mean, I'm thinking of the likes of the villains of Stained Glass Scarlet, and even Bushman's a bit of a weird one, but yeah, I mean, if you, I don't know, do you tend to like that run more now, or less so when you first read it?
The 1980s run?
Yeah,
I think it holds up as my favorite.
That
one.
is your favorite. Yeah.
When you said that it's a different take on, I can't remember. Yeah. Every Moon Knight title is a different take. That's something that's, in a way, he can't stand on his own in one story because there's so many different iterations of the character, but in the same aspect, that's what makes him kind of fantastic.
Yeah.
He at whatever time you're following Moon Knight, you get grounded in that character. And if you want to read a different title, it's something not completely different, but there's a different flavor of it.
Yeah.
I personally like the 1980. The thing that I like the most about it is the cast that's built around Mark. I feel like that sense of family is so strong with Frenchie, Marlene, Gina, and her sons, and Crowley. There's no other real title that touched on that and gave it as much weight, I think. And with Mark battling his own identity disorder, he needed that.
Yeah.
I really love that part.
But no, it is really good. It is very strong, and I think you're absolutely correct in that. The mensch run, I guess, uses the supporting cast of the family to the best positive extent. Like more recent runs, and I'd argue that we go back to the Houston run. He used them as well effectively, but he used them the other way. Like we saw Mark as a really broken character and dysfunctional with everyone. And you get,
except for Frenchie. Frenchie was the only one who wanted to help him, and even then it was kind of like, I'm busy, I'm on my own.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, he was reluctant first as well, and then we recently had a look at that, and it was really weird because I think Frenchie was a little curious as to what Mark was up to. But at first, for sure, he was totally against it. He was similar to the Mark Spector run. He was quite spiteful towards Mark. But he did have that care for him still, which was good. But you're right, the mensch run, totally. I think they even mentioned it early on about how, you know, they're his family, and it's a really good network. The other things I'm thinking of is Vengeance of the Moon Knight. Crawley was used effectively there. You know, sometimes like little bits and pieces are used in different runs, but I think mensch uses them effectively. That you know that they're kind of present all the time. If we're to look at the runs, and Sandy, before we start talking about your collection as well, how about you throw us a couple of your favourite issues then? I guess not only in the men's run, but what has impressed you the most? Like some outstanding issues.
Absolutely, Morpheus. Moon Knight Volume 1, number 12. That's my favorite Moon Knight ever. The work, the artwork, the writing.
Yep.
How creepy is that issue? The imagery, the magic that comes out of Morpheus. I've always said from the very beginning, the menace makes the man.
Yes.
If you don't have a good rogues gallery, nobody's gonna care at all. I think Submariner never made it since 1940.
Yeah.
Like, what's happening with him?
The Submariner.
Submariner.
Well, he's up against the Avengers these days. I think so. Yeah. No, I know what you mean. I follow Namor as well. I do like him. I've got most, if not all, his trades. I love reading through his stuff. I've even read some of his Golden Age stuff, which I don't know about you, Sandy. I'm not too. I didn't enjoy it that much. It was a thing of its time back then, I guess, in the 30s.
If you were reading it then, everything was really colorful, animated, and up in the sky, it's a bird. All right. It was all like very, very funky and well, whatever. But the point being is that Submariner was stronger than Superman. Submariner was lifting Nazi submarines out of the ocean and throwing. He was flying before like Superman was still leaping.
Yep.
Just a character that it's been so long and he's still never caught on.
I know it's a shame, isn't it? Because he's such. I like him. He's such a good character, especially now. He's a bit more of a dickhead, you know. And no, it's just fun. It's just fun to. There was a really good run. Peter Milligan, I think it is. The Depths. It was with Ribic, the artist. Very scary, almost like a horror take.
Yes, that was so great. That was so great.
Yeah. But yeah, sorry. Back to Moon Knight issue 12. So that was the opener from memory. So that actually had the visage of Doug Mensch, the opening page, right, as Robert Markham, the gentleman that would become Morpheus. A relatively early issue in the run, like in the first, say, third. But we start to see also Bill Sienkiewicz's art starting to kind of mature or go into the next phase with, as you mentioned, that Ebon Energy was fantastic. The use of street lights and things, lights bouncing off, the reflection on the road, very noir kind of art. That is a really good issue. Ends up with Moon Knight fighting Black Panther, right? Not the Black Panther, but a Black Panther.
Can't remember exactly. It's been a while.
Yeah. Oh, no, but many of them, you're right, rogues galleries are very important, and I think Moon Knight has a decent rogues gallery, like, Stained Glass Skull. If we're looking at the TV show, he's got a fair few to choose from, and they're all kind of varied. Like, the other thing I do love about Mensch is that we get a little bit of the supernatural, but there's also the street level as well, and then there's also the Merc background, obviously with Bushman and stuff. So there's a lot of variety there.
There's so much flavor with Moon Knight. You could, and that's why he's such a good character to write. And Marvel gives pretty good liberties, like, to the writers, whatever they want to do with him. It feels like it just adds so much complexity to his lore. You don't really know which way it's going to go, what storyline they're going to follow, which way they're going to take it.
Yeah, I think basically that's because it is weird, isn't it? Because it's almost as if, as you say, the editors give the writers free rein to do stuff, and it's almost as if, like, and I mean this in a decent way towards the editorials there, that they really don't know how to handle or what to do with Moon Knight as well. It's kind of like he's been so diverse and so varied throughout the years. We can't tell you for him to, be this way or be that way. I mean, you have to look at only the Jason Aaron, the current run with the Age of Khonshu. That must have been a good pitch. Like, let's do Moon Knight, but let's do him kind of Khonshu. centric, but like let's just amp him up with power. A very different take. I'd be interested to know what are your thoughts on that current run, if you're following it, of course.
I'm not following it.
Okay.
I don't really have the time anymore with the store going on, and I have a dog. I have a little baby. She's almost a year. Actually, next month she'll be a year.
Nice one.
There's a lot going. There's a lot going on.
Oh, cool. Nice one. Oh, well, congrats. Having a wee one myself, I know kind of what you're going through. So, I don't have a store. I don't sell stuff as well. So that, I don't know exactly how you're going, but, oh, great. Good stuff. That changes the dynamic, doesn't it? Speaking then of what you're kind of selling in the store, how about your collection? Let's talk about your collection then. So, from all accounts, and look, Sandy and listeners as well, we haven't discussed this beforehand, so I'm not too sure what to behold. I'm only going off what I've heard from some other loonies as well. But you've got quite a rich collection, I'm imagining. Oh, actually, let's discern this from what you're selling. So I'm assuming you have your untouched collection, right? That's just purely yours, and yeah. And so what does that include?
So my personal collection is a bunch of Silver Age. I have the Werewolf by Night, the first appearance of Moon Knight. I have a few second appearances. I have these Marvel Spotlight appearances.
Mm-hmm. Can I ask, Sandy, the second appearance of Moon Knight, is that more expensive than the first, or sometimes second appearances are even rarer, aren't they? Or
no, in this case, the first appearance. When it comes to Silver Age and early Bronze Age comic books, the first appearance, I think in general, for the most part, I think what you're referring to might be Wolverine's Hulk 181, where there's a little bit of a...
when there's a little bit of Wolverine, like that one panel or something, and people kind of say that's the actual first appearance?
Maybe people argue that it's the first appearance. There's the 181 where it's his full appearance.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, that was like one of the things I'm alluding to. I don't know. I thought I could be totally wrong as well. I was thinking of Spawn as well, but nowhere near in that category. But I think back in the 90s, when they're pumping out stuff, the number ones were like left, right, and center. But then I think maybe the number twos weren't as widely released. I don't know. Anyway, just my head canon. Anyway, sorry. So you got some of the Silver Age stuff. Have you got slabs?
I've slowly started to slab my collection. I've collected over the years, and I've kept all my books raw. Mm-hmm. Just recently, I have a shipment coming back from CGC probably in about a week, and there's a Hulk 181. There's two Hulk 180s.
Ooh.
Between me, you, and your listeners, I'm not sure if I'm absolutely sold on CGC. Yeah, it protects the book. It makes the value higher, and preserves them, but it takes away from the book.
Yeah,
it takes away from being able, to encapsulate Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, Fantastic Four number 48, the first appearance of Galactus and the Silver Surfer. That's a book I want. I have it in my collection, and I enjoy the ability to grab it and open it and feel it. And when you slab a book, I feel like it takes away from that. Even though I open that book every day, that's a book that I'll open maybe once or twice a year. Yeah, and you get that feeling, and it's nice. It feels so great that you have that, and it's slabbing books just feels like you're collecting grades. It feels like you're collecting numbers now more than ever.
Yeah.
With the 9.8s, and everybody's after 9.8s, and I come from a different time of collecting. I just have to say that. And
oh no, that's
I enjoy collecting what I collect, and people are free to enjoy it whichever way they feel. People collect rocks, and people collect coins, and
salt and pepper shakers.
Whatever you want to do, you do. If it makes you happy, I'm more than happy to support it.
Oh, look, I think, yeah, exactly. Whatever makes you happy. Everyone's different. I'm probably the most diplomatic when it comes to all that, Sandy, as well. I go through different waves. Look, I don't own a slab myself, but there are times I'm thinking, I wouldn't mind maybe, like, there'd be particular, maybe special issues. I'd only, limit it to maybe one or two. I was thinking, yeah, it would be good to have them slabbed. But at the same time as well, similar to what you're saying, there's nothing like, sometimes I love just like reading an old comic. It's just we spoke about this in one of our past episodes with Looney Tunes. Tate, and we'll just, it's so much fun to actually just go through it and to feel it in your hands, and there's a particular musty smell and all that, and it's a whole experience. With slabbing it, yeah, it's kind of like putting them on ice, isn't it? But again, it's that, if that is something that you'd like to do, and I can certainly see the merits of it as well, then for sure. But especially here in Australia, it's a little harder to do. There aren't that many places that do the CGC thing, or you have to ship them overseas, and it starts, bumping up the costs and everything. So, yeah, I don't know. It's exactly whatever floats your boat, I think, is the best thing.
I recently bought a Batman #4 from 1940. That's in a slab, and that's something I'll never flip through that. The pages are. It's lived through a century almost.
Yeah. Well,
if you start handling that book, you might crack something, and it'll devalue it.
Yeah.
So it deserves it.
Oh yeah, and I can understand that. Well, yeah, for sure. When you functionally can't use it, then it's better off, between two sheets of plastic and kind of preserved. And there are probably many other means that you can to read it. Maybe there's a digital version or whatever. But absolutely, I'd agree with that as well. Yeah. So what else? What else do you have in your collection? Like, So you own all the Moon Knights, right? I'm assuming.
Yeah, I have all the Moon Knights. Maybe not every single appearance.
Mm-hmm.
I have been selling those. I'm gonna keep Volume 1 for myself.
Mm-hmm.
A few issues I think I'm gonna keep of Mark Spector. But aside from that, I got two boxes. I have every issue of Wolverine.
Nice.
That's two. I have every issue of Silver Surfer.
Oh,
these are all
do you?
Include appearances. I have a full long box of Ghost Rider, including the Danny Ketch issues after issue 60 or 70.
Yeah.
They didn't. Those are so scarce.
Right.
Those are from the 2000s when nobody cared. Marvel was bankrupt. Nobody collected those at all, and I have those all in pristine condition.
Oh, nice.
They're beautiful to look at. The artwork is actually pretty cool too. I get some nostalgia from those.
Mm-hmm.
So that's Silver Surfer, Ghost Rider. I have a full box of the Punisher.
Oh, you mean, wow, because there's been Punisher's up to volume 13 or something now, isn't it? It's they keep on kind of restarting it. So you have all of them.
I don't have the War Journal series. I have volume 1. I have the Warren Ellis Max series. Mm-hmm. Which was spectacular. What else do I have?
Warren Ellis or Garth Ennis? Is there?
Sorry.
Oh, okay. Oh no, I was just about to think, is there another one? Because I've got to track it down. Yeah.
You got it. Garth Ennis. What else have I got? And then just key issues, the Hulk key issues.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Magic. I have 2 boxes of X-Men. Ileana Rasputin is probably one of my favorite female characters.
Interesting. Right. Nice one.
So cool. She goes to hell. She has her own sword.
Yeah.
She teleports. She's fantastic.
You must be looking forward to the New Mutants movie. Are you a movie goer? Not in this time.
I'm not a huge guy. I'm not a huge movie guy.
Oh, okay.
I like the books for me is where it's at.
Yeah.
Like the Wolverine, those Wolverine movies weren't really my favorites.
Mm-hmm.
X-Men, Wolverine wasn't my favorite. The very first X-Men movie that came out when Hugh Jackman has his first role as Wolvie.
Yep.
That was spectacular.
Oh, I loved that. Yeah,
That battle
Sorry,
with Sabretooth,
the wrestler.
it finally came to life.
Yeah. Oh, I remember. What was it 2000 or something? I remember sitting in the cinemas there and just like going, I can't believe I'm watching. I'm in the cinemas. Yep. I'm watching X-Men, because you're talking about living it through the 90s. X-Men were huge back in the 90s, like massive. So I'm not sure if some younger loonies would appreciate how big they were. I mean, the Avengers were literally nothing. I mean, I did collect them back in the 90s as well, but the X-Men were bringing in the big bucks. They were the golden child of Marvel. So actually to see Magneto, Professor X, perfectly cast, Sir Patrick Stewart, the likes of Rogue and Sabretooth I was excited to see, but Wolverine was the jam for me. The first scene up in Alberta, Canada, where he's in that cage match, and it's like and those claws popped out. I'm like, oh Jesus, this is good.
You want to watch it again? That was fantastic.
Yeah. And the first time he heals, when he goes through the windscreen, that was just like, oh yes. So you were fanboying out. In general, we were all fanboying out at that sort of thing. So with your collection as well, Sandy, do you? And I'm saying this because I know Tommy mentioned that I think you gave him some bonus stuff that when he bought stuff off you. Do you enter the collectibles arena, like action figures or toys and such?
I don't do a lot of it. If something really piques my interest, I would. At the XM Studios Moon Knight, I'd like to highlight that statue is absolutely phenomenal. Have you seen it?
I have. It's about $1,300 or something, isn't it? It's a work of art though. It's fantastic.
That's why it's not in my collection. That's quite a fair bunch of diapers I could buy. So.
That's it. Yeah, it'd be hard to justify, especially if you have a little one. You come home with or they look at the bank account. And she's going, oh, what's happening here? I told you to go out to get some diapers. Yeah. Yeah. Well, how about artworks then? Are you an art collector? Like, do you buy original art or do you commission art from any of your favorite artists?
Well, before I had my daughter, I was. I used to love going to conventions, and I never bought comic book pages. I know it's a big thing, but I would commission a fair bit of artists to draw. Moon Knight, I have Dylan Burnett. He did Cosmic Ghost Rider with Donny Cates. He would be Mr. Knight, just the head.
Nice.
I got another one from a Montreal artist. Oh my goodness, I can't remember his name. He did me a Moon Knight. You could see it on my Instagram page, Moon Knight Life. Oh my god, I wish I could remember his name.
Oh no.
So anyways, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, nice. No, that's very cool. And also, I guess I'm looking at rounding out this collection that you have there, Sandy. So it sounds to me like you're a tried and true singles floppy kind of comic book collector, right? Do you collect the trades at all, or omnibuses?
I have tons of trades, but
okay.
I collect them. Not really. I don't really collect them. I more buy them to read.
Yep.
I have a few Avengers because I wanted to read up on Kang.
Yeah.
The Skrull War, I have that one.
Oh yeah.
Even that the art is great. John Buscema and Sal Buscema.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Essentials. I have Daredevil's Essentials, Silver Surfer's Essentials.
Yeah.
Those are those huge black and white collections of their volumes.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
so
they're good
because you get to look at the inks of the art. I appreciate that.
Yeah,
I like to see that.
Oh, that's very cool. I was actually, just before we started recording, Sandy, I was just dipping into my astonishing Ant-Man essential collection.
Yep.
It was really cool because I've got the Epic collection, but actually the essential pack's in a bit more, so I'm able to read a bit beyond what I read in the Epic collection, which is really cool. But I love those Essential collections as well. They're really good. I've got one of the Submariner as well. But you mentioned also, Sandy, that you're a completionist. So I guess with Moon Knight, though, do you look to... I know you said that you read the trades, but do you look to complete your set by having the trades of the Moon Knight? Like, do you double? Like, do you do digital, floppies, trades? Or are you happy with just the one iteration?
I'm happy with just the book.
Yeah.
I have them all. It was pretty easy for me to get at the time. I know now it's a little bit different with the show coming out. It's a lot more hotter topic. People are loving it, so that's always good. But yeah, I got mine at the time. Nobody was really interested in Moon Knight. He was a D-list for so long. I don't hope I'm not offending anyone, but
no. I mean, we're on the Moon Knight podcast, so I think we're right. No, for sure. Well, speaking then of Instagram and your account, where you can see a lot of Sandy's stuff. You mentioned before Moon Knight Life, so moonknight.life, right, is your handle for Instagram. It's mainly through Instagram, isn't it?
Yes, it's all on Instagram.
Okay.
I wish I was more active. It's my energy, you could feel, is not really there right now on that account.
Yeah.
I'm not following the like, since Bemis's run, it really put a sour taste in my mouth. Marvel doesn't know how to handle him. Hopefully the series that comes out, the casting that comes out, gets us more excited, and I'll definitely become more active on it very, very soon, I feel, because I hope this series is going to be really good.
Yeah, well, let's kind of just stick with that then a little. Actually, so anyway, listeners, Sandy's details, the Instagram, that'll all be in the show notes for you to check out. But yeah, I have a good feeling, because of what generally happens is, I think a TV show and such, or a movie, will prop up the comic to an extent, and might kind of teases out the essence, right, of the character. Like, you'd hope that the showrunner would bring out. Look at the Netflix Daredevil one. It actually, I thought it was very successful. And it really did encapsulate what Daredevil is. I'm hoping that the Moon Knight TV show will do the same, but then that will kind of bleed back into the comics, and then hopefully if we get a regular run, which I think worst case, we'll get a limited, like a mini, right? We'll get like at least a 6 issue.
He needs an ongoing series so bad, and I've been dying for one. It just sucks. Yeah.
Exactly, but hopefully then that will actually generate more interest. And I know you've probably got your hands full as well, Sandy, with a little one, a 1-year-old. But definitely, Loonies, go check it out. Moonknight.life. I'm just having a look at it now. You've got over 5,600 followers. It says here as well. So original art, fan art, and comic art. So. Is that just highlighting on the Instagram page?
Yeah, basically what I showcase on the page.
Yeah. So no, that'd be really cool. We definitely need a bit more of a Moon Knight series. Sandy, before we kind of wrap this up, though, you did mention online. Oh, actually, I want to shout out as well on Instagram the other likes. So there are other kind of large following Moon Knight pages there as well. You mentioned, is it mate mine, Moon Knight? Brian, I touched base with him. I think, is he a seller as well?
No.
Oh, no, he isn't. He's just a fan. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, because the reason I asked that was because you posited this question, which I thought was quite interesting. I thought we might as well just touch upon it now. You mentioned about Frank Miller and his take on Daredevil in 80s, around 86, right? And then he's obviously the big one. You've mentioned the name once, so I'll refrain from it again. Bruce Wayne returns. We'll call it that, so I don't have to bleep myself out. Which was, regarded in the all-time greatest comics, at least in the top 5 or something. So, what would have happened? This is kind of like a what if, isn't it, Sandy? If Frank Miller went into Moon Knight? How do you reckon that would go? Would we be seeing Moon Knight as the number one? Is that kind of where you were leading towards, like with Moon Knight?
That's exactly what I was leading into. Yeah. I mean, Frank Miller did a fantastic, almost legendary run on Daredevil with his Born Again storyline, which like almost every artist and creator harken back to even to this day. And then after he did that, it was a great launching pad to get into the Dark Knight. Dark Knight Returns, which, I mean, what more can you say about that? Yeah. That book than just like changing the tone of comics for the next 20 plus years. Comic books were arguably kind of hokey before then.
Yeah,
they really took on a different type of level of seriousness and mood and gritty and even violent. After that, you got the Punisher coming out. You got Wolverine really making a stand with Frank Miller. Just he made such a difference with that series. And yeah, my question is, well, what if Marvel kept Frank Miller after Born Again, and what if they put him on Moon Knight?
Oh, that would be such a crazy thing. It is an interesting thing. I mean, there are a lot of variables to consider, I guess. But you're right. I mean, Batman had been around a lot longer, since the 30s or something. Moon Knight was relatively new, so I guess the mid 70s. But what would have happened? You were talking about how it changed the face of heroes, and rightly so. And I'm just reading on Marvel Unlimited the 90. Oh, it's actually kind of like the 80s, maybe 80s to the 90s. But the beginning, the origins of US Agent. I don't know if you've ever read that with Captain America, like a grittier, more angrier Captain America. Yeah, and so there was this, you're right, with Ghost Rider, Wolverine, Punisher, even around the time of, I believe it was Nightfall and all that, we had the Clone Saga with Spider-Man and Ben Reilly, and there, Spider-Man's very, intense and dark. He actually calls himself just the Spider then, because there were a lot of things happening. So it seemed that the appetite was for the darker, grimmer characters. It would be interesting with Moon Knight, where Frank Miller would have gone. I reckon Moon Knight's status definitely would have been propped up with the likes of Frank Miller writing for him, and if you take that, like the Mensch run as well, like just say for instance the Mensch run, because that was in the 80s, so he had a good fist of it there, no pun intended, and then Frank Miller comes in. That would be a pretty exciting run. I'd take it.
I think Moon Knight would be the D-list character that we know him as today. Definitely put him into a top tier hero for sure.
Yeah, the only other thing, and look, I might get shot down totally by everyone here. The only thing here, like, because Moon Knight, sorry.
It's okay, blurt it out. We got thick skin.
No, it's just that, like, if you compare like the emblem of like the bat and the moon, I will admit the bat would seem a lot cooler. You know what I mean? Because it's like a creature of the night, and it's I don't know. But if Moon Knight, if you understand the origins of him and Egypt, the connection with Khonshu, it just makes sense. But Batman in black. I said the word in black and all that. I guess it was kind of really tailored to be that gritty character. But no, it's interesting. I don't know. Do you kind of see where I'm coming from?
Yeah. I mean, Moon Knight. He, I don't know. I like him as a gritty character, but I like him as a very emotional wreck.
Yeah.
They say that when you're a writer, you take a character that you love and you put them through the grinder. as hard as you can. Like you basically kill them, and
Yeah.
you usually come up with a pretty good storyline leading up to that.
Nightfall. Look at that. Bane breaking the back. That sort of stuff. Yeah. But no, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that's it. Good writers and stuff. You see it with all the great characters. They get put through the ringer and they come back, or in some instances, they turn evil and they come back, which I can cite, Daredevil and Captain America, and currently Moon Knight and Captain Marvel. So those sorts of things, they're always fun to do. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's a very interesting thing. Frank Miller's writing. I think the Daredevil run is fantastic from him as well, and I know in hindsight you can look at it and go, oh yeah, but that and have your opinions going, oh that's way better, and The Dark Knight only was a popular success. It is really, I'm assuming it's really good as well. I haven't read all of it, but it is.
I think from just the conceptual sequential art that Frank uses is it's I was actually listening to another podcast, Dr. Kayfabe. It's Ed Piskor and
okay,
another artist, and they did a deep dive into The Dark Knight Returns. So that podcast kind of opened my eyes to wow, what if Frank Miller did do Moon Knight after? And I thought it was a great idea.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah, we'll have a deeper conversation with it. Maybe Brian could jump on and join us and see the similarities that if you take characters that died in The Dark Knight Returns and
right
into what would happen in Moon Knight, like if Marlene would die, what would happen there? What would happen there?
Yeah,
that would be what a story you could tell. Like Mark's really dependent on her, and what if she's not there anymore?
That's true. I'm racking my brain. Has she? She hasn't, has she? Has she died?
No, she never.
Oh, that's good.
No.
Yeah, okay, right. Yeah, that would be a big thing. I can imagine. I'm just thinking when you mentioned that now, like if she did, like Moon Knight would, he's obviously got mental issues already. He would like totally snap. Yeah, so.
And that's what you have to do when you're a writer. You really got to put into the ringer, and it's adversity that shapes us. Me, now that I have a daughter, I feel like it's better to have them go through an adversity. It builds character. It makes them stronger. Thicker skin these days is very important.
That's the only way to. It's the only way to improve, isn't it?
Yeah.
Make mistakes, or you face adversity. It's if you float through life just having a fun ride, you're not going to really learn much, I don't think.
It's not really even that fun if you think about it.
Yeah. That's fair enough.
Experiences that shape us and make us better. Like when you first open a business, you have to go through a bit of a grind to get you successful, and you learn and you build the experience, and it's
exactly all of that as well. And on top of all of that, it's also about putting things in perspective, isn't it? Like I could be really philosophical and all, and say you can't know the good without having to know the bad first, that sort of stuff. I don't want to give you my corny sage advice, but I'm thinking of
conversations.
Sorry,
these are the best conversations.
Yeah, exactly.
What beats us up, and what how we come out of it better.
I'm starting to see why you like Moon Knight, Sandy. The characters. Or do you like Daredevil? I'm sure you do. You said you've got a couple of essential collections, right?
Yeah, I like Daredevil.
Yeah. I think sorry.
I never really collected like full runs of Daredevil, but I do have quite a few.
Okay, yeah. I think at least on he doesn't have. Well, he does. He has depression. That's the thing. But a lot of parallels to his journey and Moon Knight as well. But yeah. Anyway, Sandy, it's been fantastic having you on. I want to thank you so much for waking up early and jumping on here. It's real fun to have just this, we're just shooting the breeze, but I really wanted to just chat with you about your collection as well. I thought it would be a fun thing. Truth be told, I lifted this off another podcast that I listened to. It was the Amazing Spider Talk, a really cool Spider-Man podcast. But just having collectors come on and talk about their collections, I think is really fun. Like just to kind of interact with the community. So a huge thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me. I was really looking forward to it when you told me when you wanted to have me on, and it's just with time and the baby, and there's so much going on right now, but this was really enjoyable.
And as well, look, again, having little Finn, I know how hard it is to kind of make time, so I really do appreciate you finding some time in your schedule to come on, and you're welcome anytime. I'd love to have you on, and Brian from Make Mine Moon Knight as well. Maybe we have a bit more of a chat about some of these other scenarios or other subjects on Moon Knight. It would be just fantastic.
Yeah, that would be awesome. We could really geek out.
Cool. Oh yeah, plenty I want to chat with you about. But before we go again, I will let the listeners know again. It's moonknight.life. It's on Instagram. Go check it out. Sandy, is there any? Do you want to? You don't have to. Are there any other social outlets that you'd like people to know about that they can contact you if they want? Or yeah.
After I did Moon Knight Life, I wanted another avenue to express my comics, just my fanboy inside of me. Mm-hmm. So I started up the Real Comic Night. Okay. So I just share some, it's all comic book based. It's my collection. You see a lot of my collection there.
Oh.
Yeah, that grew out of Cheers. It started off as Cheers to Comics, okay. And then I changed the Moon Knight into Comic Night. And since this pandemic started, all the comic shows that I do sell my collection every here and there. I ran into a collection a couple of years ago of eight long boxes. It was a beautiful collection, so I couldn't pass it up. It was all Bronze Age, beautiful books, great condition. So I ended up buying that, and I'm putting it up for sale at Night Shop on Instagram. It's Night__shop.
Mm-hmm.
Ray, for all your listeners and you yourself, if you wanna go by and pick up something, here's 15% off for you and all your listeners. Just send me a DM into the night on Instagram at Night Shop, and I'll give you 15% off.
Fantastic. Loonies, you cannot get any better than that. So a huge thank you to Sandy for providing that. And that, Sandy, will run until September, yeah?
Yeah, I'll do that until September.
Fantastic. So Loonies, get in. So I'm writing this down as well, Sandy. It's Night__shop. So 2 underscores. Yes. Yep. And what was that other one that you mentioned? It was a comic night with all your collections on there?
The Real Comic Night.
The Real Comic Night. Cool. Sorry, I'm just jotting this down. And that's
Bill Sienkiewicz, he's the real Polish guy, right?
Right. and so yours Night with a K, obviously. Yep.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Well, so there you go, Loonies. Once again, a whopping 15% off. Just send Sandy a personal message, a DM, into the night with a K. On his Instagram at night__shop, and you can make do with the goodies, and I'll keep that in our show notes for the full month of the rest of July and August. So Loonies, make good. But Sandy, a big thank you once again. I wish you all the best with your little one. What's her name?
Her name is Leia.
Leia, beautiful. Well, wishing your family, your wife and Leia the best, and I hope you don't get too overwhelmed with the store. But Loonies, by the same token, get in there, make good with that offer. It sounds like a ripper. But thanks once again, Sandy.
Thank you so much. And take care of your family, everybody. I want you guys to take care. There's some trying times that we're going through, but we'll come out of it. This adversity will make us all stronger.
Oh, it will for sure. It will for sure. We'll be out there ripping faces off before you know it, Sandy.
I love it. Perfect.
With that, Loonies, we're going to take a short break and we'll be right back to wrap up the show.
You belong to the Merry Marvel.
Anyone hear us?
This is Trey Lawson.
And I'm James Hickson.
Anyone can hear this broadcast. We need your help.
We've been kidnapped and imprisoned in a tomb by this creepy old undertaker named Mr. Gravely.
And he's forcing us to review his collection of Marvel horror comics. Stuff like Tomb of Dracula,
Werewolf by Night,
Man-Thing,
Ghost Rider,
and so much more.
Forcing us to record these reviews as a podcast called The Tomb of Ideas.
If you can hear this, please contact our families. Call the authorities. Anyone. Tell them we can be found at...
Now, boys. Let's not give too much away. You can find James and Trey every other Wednesday at the Tomb of Ideas, a Marvel horror podcast. A proud member of the Cinepunks podcast group. See you there, Tomb Believers.
The Merry Marvel Marching Society.
Yes, Loonies, welcome back. You are listening to Into the Night, the Moon Knight podcast. This is episode 156, and what you heard there on the other side of the break was a good old chat I had with Sandy, who is also known as MoonKnight.life, a huge presence there on Instagram, and as mentioned, he's got an online store, so go check it out. Again, massive discount, 15%. Go DM Sandy and get yourself some goodies. Go fill up those back issues that you're missing. But a huge thank you again to Sandy. He's been a wonderful guest, and look forward to having him back on. Anyway, Loonies, doing this a little bit in reverse, so there's not much news that came out at the time of this recording. So this is the weekend before this episode drops, which is about midweek. The only thing was San Diego Comic-Con is up and running over the weekend, and there were some October solicitations of Marvel that were released. Now, I posted this up on the Facebook group and page. They had a bit more information on Avengers 37, which is, I believe, part 5 of the Age of Khonshu. So a cover there showing the Avengers having at Khonshu, and a very vague description again of the issue. Let me see. Hang on, if you bear with me, Loonies, let me see if I can grab this and read it out to you, my fair loony listeners. So it basically says, the conclusion. 33, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, it's only a 5-parter. My mistake. Not a 6-parter. So the Age of Khonshu comes to its thunderous conclusion. The ragtag Avengers take the fight to the power-mad Khonshu deep in the heart of New Thebes City. But which side will Moon Knight choose, and is Earth doomed either way? So, yeah, the cover shows Khonshu there, sporting Mjolnir, it seems, and the Iron Fist. And then you've got the likes of Thor, Black Panther, Iron Man, Cap, Captain Marvel, and She-Hulk, and Ghost Rider, just swarming him. No sign... Oh, and Blade. No sign of Moon Knight. I can't see that on the front cover, but of course he will feature. So that was the only real Moon Knight news that I got over the week. So go check out. It's in our Facebook group and our Facebook page. Now, also, again, I wanted to thank our sponsors, I forgot to mention at the top of the show as well. Too excited to chat with Sandy about our Patreon members. So you too can become a patroonie if you go to patreon.com/ITK Moon Knight. You can just check out the bonus incentives there. A very big thank you to all the existing patroonies and the executive producers and the co-producers are mentioned in our show notes as well. So a big thank you to you guys for supporting the show, and please consider it if you want to be privy to these extra bits. Now, also a little bit of news there, what's been happening in the Patreon page. We have struck our second goal, so a big thank you again to the patroonies, and with that means that, there's going to be like a spin-off show I'm hoping to release in the near future. It's not in the immediate future, still working out stuff, actually. And as I speak, I put up a poll as to what character or what that spin-off show should be about. And currently, it's a neck and neck. It's a two-horse race between a Spider-Woman podcast, which I'm pretty excited about, or a Masters of the Universe podcast. So very different subject matter to Moon Knight, of course. But thank you to the patroonies who have given the coin and allowed me to spread the wings, and it will either be those one of those two. The other ones that were up for contention, look, they were just some of my faves. A Hercules podcast, a Silver Surfer podcast. What else did I have? Multiple Man, all the usual suspects you probably think. Forge. I even had a Forge one as well. I was looking at some really obscure characters. But yeah, so down to Masters of the Universe or the Spider-Woman podcast. Very exciting indeed. I've already started dabbling with some concept art for the Spider-Woman podcast. Anyway, Loonies, that wraps it up for this session. So what we have next phase is a full moon. So for episode 157, it will be a moon and stars episode. And I think, tentatively, I was going to put it down as a audio commentary for the Marvel Spider-Man Season 3, Episode 3, Vengeance of Venom, which featured Moon Knight. Now, as I mentioned before, a while ago when it did come out, we did a bit of a crossover with We Are Venomaniacs with Orion there, and we discussed the episode. I thought just for the Into the Night podcast, we'd like to do something about that animated appearance of Moon Knight. So I'm thinking it may be an audio commentary or maybe just a discussion on that episode. Special guests and or co-hosts to be confirmed, but have a look out for that. Also, as well as usual, you can find us on itkmoonnight@gmail.com. We're also on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Discord, Get Vocal. We've got a couple of websites, Podchaser. Just look us up. If you like to rate us, we're on Podchaser or Apple Podcasts for a rating. That just really helps us get out there a bit more and let people find us. Lets people find us. Also, we are part of the collective, so I want a big shout out to a new collective member, Happiness in Darkness. For listeners that may know, I jumped on DJ Nick's show, Happiness in Darkness, to talk about the Ant-Man movie, which is one of my favourite movies. Anyway, a big congrats and big welcome to Happiness in Darkness. So you can listen to great podcasts such as Happiness in Darkness, a comic book movie podcast, or the likes of, say, the Immortal Sons of the Dragon, the Immortal Iron Fist podcast, and of course you have Inner Demons, a Ghost Rider podcast, where we generally are character-based or geek-based, movies, comics, we do it all. Check out the collective at hashtag the collective net on Twitter for any and all of our posts. Anyway, Loonies, that about wraps it for me for this episode. Hope you enjoyed it. I'm looking to have a chat with more collectors as well when Khonshu decrees it, when the moon is in its first quarter. But until then, may Khonshu watch over the denizens of the night. And catch you later.
and affiliated characters, stories and events are properties of Marvel Characters Incorporated. Materials used and discussed within the podcast are intended for critique and review purposes only under the fair dealing concept of the current Copyright Act. The views, information, or opinions expressed during the podcast are solely those of the individuals involved and do not necessarily represent those of the copyright owners.